Hello, my friend, and welcome back. Today, my guest is James Roguski. Hello, James.
Hey, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to share this with the people in your audience.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you came forward. So today's subject is WHO treaty, which is renamed, as far as I know. You know much more about it, so please tell us what's going on.
Well, you know, we set up this time to meet a little while ago, and just this morning, I finally got my hands on this document, which is the title of this is likely to confuse everybody, right? It's the final text for silence procedure. Now, if you're watching this and you already know what I'm talking about, good for you. But most people have no idea what I just said. Final text for silence procedure. This is actually in regards to the United Nations. It's the final text of an upcoming, so we're predicting the future here a little bit, political declaration of the United Nations General Assembly high-level meeting on pandemic prevention, preparedness, and response. So this is scheduled to be adopted on September 20th, just a few weeks from the day that we're recording this, at a special high-level meeting that they'll be having in New York City at the United Nations. And so this is a 13-page document, and what it essentially is doing is saying that they have learned lessons from the last 3 or 4 years in regards to COVID-19, and they are recommending to having a international declaration supporting what the WHO is doing in terms of renegotiating amendments to the international health regulations, and also a new document that everybody gets confused about. The official name is the WHO Convention Agreement Plus, or CA Plus, which is not really a treaty the way people think of treaties. It's a framework convention. And what that means is it would set up a brand new bureaucracy that would be in charge of working out all of the detailed protocols going off into the future, very similar to the 1992 Framework Convention for Climate Change. So the danger of what they're recommending is that they want to put unknown bureaucrats, unelected, unaccountable people in charge of making detailed decisions down the road. And they're recommending in this particular document $30 billion a year for pandemic prevention, preparedness, and response. Well, the WHO's entire budget for health across the world in 2022 was $3.8 billion. They spent over $1 billion of that on salaries. Their 8,851 people got an average of $120,000 a year. They spent half that much actually on medical, supplies, products. But they want to take that amount of money and multiply it by 7 or 8 times to throw $30 billion a year into this, what I call the pharmaceutical hospital emergency industrial complex. And they want to set up a bureaucracy that would decide how that money is spent and what is done with it, with no feedback whatsoever possible from we the people if these agreements are allowed to go into force. They want them to be legally binding upon all of the member nations. And so the first step in this is the United Nations getting together to agree to a political declaration, a high-level political declaration for pandemic prevention, preparedness, and response. And I'll just ask everybody who's watching, did anybody ask you? Did anyone in your nation, wherever you may be, ask for your input as to what they should spend $30 billion a year on? And what are the lessons that have been learned? Because I don't think they've learned a thing other than how to redirect money into things that actually harm people. So that's what's coming up. And, speak now or forever hold your peace. The silence procedure is something that people, why would anybody understand it? Because it's UN procedures. They have circulated this document amongst the many nations. They've been working on this for over a year. They actually scheduled this meeting last September to occur on September 20th this year. And a couple of weeks ago, they finalized this document, the 13-page document, and then they circulate it. And if no one says anything, that is taken as your acceptance. Silence is consent.
Silent consent.
So the silence procedure is they put this document out, into the universe. They publish it on some website somewhere, and you're expected to object to it if you want. But if you say nothing, because, you didn't get to know about it, you didn't hear about it, it's not like they sent everybody on the planet a text message or an email saying, hey, go read this document and let us know what you think, right? I'm doing that. I'm trying to get everybody to pay attention and say, look, this is what they want to do. Now is the time. I think most everybody has access to a phone that has a camera or your computer or whatever. And if you don't have one, I'm sure you know somebody who does. I'll have published this information on my Substack, jamesroguski.substack.com. I've already published an article about it about a month ago, but I'll publish the document. You could read it and then get your video camera and say whatever it is you want to say. If you like what they're doing, then speak in support of it. That's your choice. If you think that it would be better to spend $30 billion a year on something other than the things that they have planned, then say that as well.
Would you talk a little bit about the dates of the 4 most important dates?
Sure. On an article that I did quite some time ago called StopTheGlobalAgenda.com, I laid out 4 separate tracks. And so this, again, all of this information is meant to confuse people. So if you go to StopTheGlobalAgenda.com, this is the first date of significance, September 20th of 2023. All of the UN ambassadors will be meeting in New York, and they are most likely going to unanimously adopt this. Most people have no idea who their United Nations ambassador is, and they certainly didn't ask you for your opinion about what they're about to decide to do with our future. The second date is December 1st of 2023. Now, this is again something that almost everybody is confused about. Last year at the WHO World Health Assembly on May 27, 2022, they did adopt a small number of amendments to the international health regulation. And so there's an 18-month period where every nation could reject the amendments that were adopted by the World Health Assembly, but everyone, again, is just remaining silent. It's the same thing. It's the silence procedure. They tell you about it, they do it, and if you don't say anything, well, our government, around the world, not a single member of any government that I am aware of has said, hey, people, we need to reject these by December 1st. We've already gone, today happens to be September 1st, we've gone 15 months out of the 18-month period. There are still 3 months left to go, September, October, November. And if no one says anything by December 1st, it's too late. You missed the 18-month period. The third track, which, again, everybody gets confused about, on September 30th of 2022, the member nations of the World Health Organization, 94 out of the 194 nations submitted 197 pages of additional proposed amendments to international law. And they've been secretly negotiating these 307 proposed amendments. We have no idea what the current state of the document is. They haven't put forth a version 2 or working draft or a first draft or a second draft. They've been negotiating completely in secret. They're going to have a meeting in October. They're going to have another meeting in December. And then likely before Christmas, they're going to submit it to the International Health Regulations Review Committee. It has to be finalized and submitted by mid-January of 2024, 4 months in advance of the May meeting. So really, the deadline to say anything about that pretty much is, before Christmas. And again, complete and total silence. They have not allowed us to see the documents that are being negotiated. Now, the fourth track is the one that a lot of people talk about, but honestly, unless you've read the document, which is the WHO BA Plus Bureau text, was published on June 2nd of 2023. Unless you've actually read that document, if you hear somebody talking about the pandemic treaty, you're probably getting misinformation. So I encourage people to read the document. You can get it on stoptheglobalagenda.com. It's not what people think it is. It's designed to be a framework convention, which essentially would say, well, let's agree to set up a bureaucracy to be in charge of pandemic prevention, preparedness, and response, and $30 billion a year going off into the future. Now, what they are looking to do is got really nothing to do with your health. They want to set up a surveillance network, laboratories to be testing, looking for genomic sequences so that, if they stick a swab up your nose or some other orifice, or if you take your pet to the veterinarian and they swab their nose or do a stool sample or whatever, or, if they check the bedding in your chicken coop or your pigsty or some farm or your septic system or the local sewage treatment plant or, a local bat cave or anywhere, if they find some genetic sequence and claim that there's a pathogen with pandemic potential, they could isolate that area and say, look, there's something in that area that has the potential to be nobody would have needed to be sick. Nobody would have needed to have died. They want to set it up so that they could say, well, there's the potential for a problem, and turn it into a money-making venture with drugs and jabs to force upon the people wherever they say they think there might be a problem. And so the danger of agreeing to put someone else in charge there's no rules for how the money is going to be spent. There's no rules on where those contracts are going to be given out. It is just so open to corruption and fraud and, quite frankly, fear-mongering, as well as censorship. They want to be able to have only what they say be deemed worthy of being shared on social media and so forth. This is probably one of the most dangerous documents ever written. And they won't let us see it, right? The nations on April 22nd of 2023 submitted 208 pages of proposed text. It's called the compilation text. We know it exists, but they will not let us see it. The bureaucracy edited that down into what they called the Bureau's text. But, using their own words, they still don't have a document that is an acceptable first draft, right? So, now is the time to push back and demand to see, this document, is only made available to the public, and barely to the public, because it's not like you got a notice about it. A couple of weeks in advance of they're going to agree to it, and they're likely to do the same thing with the proposed amendments and the proposed framework convention. So one of the things that I do, and I believe you're in Ireland, correct? And I'm in California, so this is a worldwide issue. I always give everybody my phone number, and I'm in the United States, so the country code is +1, but my phone number is 310-619-3055. I've worked with people all over the world. If you use, we're communicating on Skype. My Skype handle is just my name, James.Roguski. Reach out to me on Telegram or WhatsApp or Signal or phone call or text message. And if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to help people sort through all of these details.
And so all this is we are reaching to the point to make people understand that nothing is lost yet. We have to approach our representatives in UN and say we are not okay with that. You have draft letter as well. We're going to share it and all the other information for people who wants more information. We just want to be very short today, but we're going to share all that information. So
first and foremost, take the link to this video that you're watching and share it with everybody you know everywhere on the planet. Awareness, they want to keep all of this secret because they operate on this concept that silence is consent. Well, if you don't even know that they're doing it, then of course you're going to be silent.
There is so many things happening in the same time. Like it's very rarely when one person can see everything and research everything. You are very dedicated to this subject, so it's glad to have you.
Happy to have this opportunity to share this with your audience, but let's expand that audience. And if everyone who's watching this shares it with everybody they know and they do the same thing, we absolutely can raise awareness of this. Now, this particular document is not a legally binding document like the ones that are coming, okay? This is a declaration. Well, I encourage each and every one of you to make your own declaration. One of the websites that I have put together, it's almost a year old, it's about to have its first birthday, is screwthewho.com. SCREWTHEWHO.com. Don't do a search for it, just go straight there. There are several hundred people who have recorded videos expressing their opinion about the WHO. And so I encourage everyone watching this, speak up and say whatever it is you feel, because your silence is the same as consent as far as they are concerned. If you go to stoptheglobalagenda.com, there is a PDF letter that you can download. It has all of the details on it, and you can send it to anyone, but you can also send it to your public officials, because the reality of it is most of them have no idea that this is happening. The people who are watching this video are amongst the 0.0000001% of people on the planet who are aware now that the UN is planning to do this on September 20th. Let's see how many people we can make aware of their plans to make this declaration and have more people speak up about what their opinion is. The one thing that is not happening in the world these days is that the voice of the people is not being heard by the people who are supposed to represent us. And we need to change that. And it starts with us raising our voice, speaking up, and letting them know, whether you agree or disagree with whatever the issue might be, let them know very clearly how you feel. And that's what I encourage everybody to do. So thank you for the opportunity to speak my mind.
Thank you so much for joining me, James.
Thank you. My pleasure.
And thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, thumbs up, and see you very soon, my friend.